Today, we're going to be talking about best practices for agency recruiters using LinkedIn. So if you're an agency recruiter, a headhunter, the owner of a recruiting agency firm, you are in the right place. We're going to be talking about what's working in 2023. So, LinkedIn is obviously a very, very powerful tool for recruiters, but what used to work does not work anymore. So if you're brand new to LinkedIn, or if you're, a 10+ year vet, this training is going to apply to you. So it's frustrating, having this tool where we have clients and candidates that we know that we can help, and they're sitting there right in front of us. But, a lot of the challenges that agency recruiters are facing have to do with, first and foremost, just not getting the attention from both their clients and candidates. And this is more and more challenging because there's more and more noise that's showing up on the platform. And when we can't capture their attention, then that means we typically aren't getting the response rate that we need to. And if we're not getting the response rate that we need to, then we're probably not getting the meetings that we need to. If we're not getting the meetings we need to, then we're probably not making the placements that we need to. So we're not hitting our goals. So if that's kind of what you're going through, if you feel like you've been in a rut with LinkedIn, you are in the right spot. So the first talk about is kind of looking at what is kind of people are currently doing and some shifts that you can make for some best practices. All right. So let's talk about your profile first. Traditionally, people think of their LinkedIn profile is kind of their resume. It's the place to showcase their career. And unless you are out there looking for a job, I would invite you into turning your profile into something that you can actually showcase your value to your clients and candidates. Okay. So if you went to my personal LinkedIn profile, very quickly, you can see, what I'm trying to do for my target market, what I'm trying to stand for, what I'm trying to be known for. Okay. So that's the big shift of it, is just switching the thinking of like, this isn't your place to resume or showcase your career. It's actually a place to showcase your value, almost sell your audience, become a resource to your audience right through your profile. So what should you be doing in order to enhance that? Well, first, you want to take a look at your headline. Okay. The common thing that you see with somebody's headline, for example, if they're a recruiter, they put their headline recruiter. And that's just kind of wasted digital real estate. So I would recommend that you take your headline and craft some sort of a helping statement, for lack of a better word. And really clearly, you want to make sure that somebody that's visiting your profile, or they know, what you do and who you exist for, right? So if it's very simply like, I help, accounting and finance departments attract and hire top accounting and finance talent, it's a great use of your, digital real estate. Now, that's not going to differentiate you from the next accounting and finance recruiter, but at least when somebody comes to your profile, they're going to see exactly what you do and how you can help them right away. So that's the first kind of area of low-hanging fruit, is using your headline as a way to, capture the attention of your audience. Now, where does the headline actually come into play? Well, when you're sending a connection request, your headline is going to tell a lot of the story. So really focusing on those first 60 characters of your headline to really speak to your target audience is crucially important. When you're creating posts and when you're leaving comments, then that's also where your headline comes into play. Okay. The next area that you want to leverage is the banner or the cover, photo, that real estate at the top of your profile. Now, I don't think this is a make or breaker, but when I look at my LinkedIn profile, and I've already kind of said this, I look at it as digital real estate, and I want to be able to kind of maximize the real estate that I have. Okay. And we're kind of renting real estate from LinkedIn in this case. But, what I would do is, if I had that cover photo space, I would make sure that cover photo at least speaks to my target market. If all I'm going to have is an image there and I'm in construction, then make sure that image, is about construction. But it's another area to kind of share, how you can help your market and just communicate very specifically with your market. So, if you have a client-centric message and up top, you can have a candidate-centric message in your cover photo. And the next thing with your profile is your about section, taking your LinkedIn about section and really transforming that into, this is the main place where you can tell your story. How did you get into the recruiting industry? What was the aha moment that you have? What's the process that you use to help, your clients and candidates What is some proof and results that you have? Having a very clear call to action. Your about section isn't the place to go. Donnie Gupton is an experienced marketing professional with over 20 years of marketing experience, and he's helped. It's so informal and so outdated. Like, communicate, tell a story, create your about section as an area of opportunity to really have your audience connect with you as a recruiting leader. Okay. So the next thing is now that we've kind of talked about the profile, let's talk about the messaging. Okay. And this is where I think a lot of people struggle. And a lot of people struggle here because there's, first and foremost, there's a lot of really poor information out there on how to approach this. And there's a lot of people that are teaching some very poor tactics or even executing poor tactics for people. And what that would look like is, hey, I'm going to connect with you, then I'm going to sales pitch you right away. And if you're watching this, you've probably experienced it, right? A marketer like myself comes in and his first message to you is like, hey, John, I'm sure you get a lot of messages like this, but what if I could tee you up with 10 qualified appointments a month? And it's just like, stop. So it's the same thing go for you. Stop connecting with people and pitching. Play more of a long game. And so the approach with the messaging box that is very effective is, first and foremost, finding ways to add value. And so this is why, in my opinion, it's so important that you become, a niche industry expert, because then you have the ability to start conversations with your market a heck of a lot easier. You know what their pains are, problems are, frustrations, you know what they're going to find value in. And so you can be the one that delivers that value to them, which is going to capture their attention. Okay. Or, you want to get into something that's going to start dialogue. Now this is critically important with this approach on business development, is making sure that you're not just connecting and putting out your best sales pitch or your best, unique selling proposition and then wondering why people are responding. It's like we're connecting with people. We don't know if they're hiring or buying or whatever it is. And yet we come out and we're just going to sell to them when they're not even the market. Right. And so just by changing the approach, just by adding value or asking questions that are going to get somebody into dialogue, you can actually elicit way more response from the people that you're connecting with. Okay. Now, if you're reaching out to a candidate, then don't give that vague, hey, I'm a, recruiter and I do this and I think you're really interested. Grab some time on my calendar. I've got a hot open role for you. Like, reach out and say something specific about their profile that, matches up with this open position that you're working on, so that you can show the prospect that you're actually not just, running a numbers game, but you actually have, vetted them out and see the actual, opportunity being a good fit for them. Okay. So that's kind of the messaging strategy. The other thing I'll say for best practices in messaging is making sure that you follow up. Don't take people's lack of response personally. We're busy professionals. Everybody is. So find tactful ways, to follow up with your market. Okay. So that brings me into the next, best practice. I speak with a lot of people in this space, and one of the things that I've noticed is that people take some like moral high ground about, like, oh, my network is really, I'm really selective about who joins my network. And my opinion is that's outdated thinking and just foolish. The biggest challenge that we all face as small business owners, the biggest challenge that recruiters face and recruiting agencies face, is purely enough people knowing that we exist to help them. The moral high ground of having a select LinkedIn network is only hurting people. And so the opportunity here is to strategically grow your network, but doing it at high volume. You want to have a plan in place where you're connecting with ideal hiring decision makers or ideal candidates in your market daily without missing. Okay. And then what you're doing is you're basically building a network of people that you can build relationships with, because that's the main goal of a platform with LinkedIn, is to build relationships. Now, when you build a network of people, you're accomplishing a couple of things. One is when you have if you're doing some recruiting and you have an active role, you don't need to rely on in-mails anymore to be able to capture the attention of the audience. And I don't know about you, every time I see an in-mail going by my stuff, I don't pay attention to them. And most in-mails hit that other box on LinkedIn anyways. So, you're not really getting through with your messaging with your audience when you're not connected with them. You're connected with them. You can send the message directly to their LinkedIn messaging box. It doesn't come through as an in-mail, and you can follow up multiple times with your messaging strategy. So that's the main value of growing your network, is that you can communicate and be much more nimble with the people that you need to communicate with. But the second thing, and this is where you have to kind of take your recruiting hat on and hat off and put on a marketing hat, is you're building an audience. Okay. You're building an audience of people to follow you. You're building an audience, again, to make more people aware that you exist, that you can help them. And that's where the next recommendation comes in, which is you have to create content. Okay. You're basically building an audience. And even when you go out and you connect and you message the people that you connect with, you're not going to capture everybody's attention. Not everybody's going to have a hiring need. And even with the best messaging approach, prospecting is still dealing with a heck of a lot more no's than it is yeses. And that'll always be true. So the cool thing about LinkedIn is, as I'm building my network and I'm messaging people, I also now can create content for that audience. Okay. So that's my next recommendation for your next best practice, is getting yourself into a habit of creating content. So here's what not to do with your content. Most people, when they think of content, they think of promotion. They think about, how am I going to market and how am I going to sell my company? And on a platform on LinkedIn, people don't, again, it's the same thing. People aren't going to find, a bunch of value in you saying 3 reasons why this, or 4 reasons why you should hire my company, and this, that, or the other. Or we're the best company in the, in staffing space in Georgia. People don't care. People want to know what's in it for them. So it's not to say that you shouldn't have content that showcases, how you impact your market, and you shouldn't have content that does promote your business. But you want to be adding value and leading your market and connecting with your market with your content like 90% of the time, and promoting your business about 10% of the time, because people consume things that they find interesting. And most of the time when we're talking about our business, they don't find that interesting. But when we're adding value and giving them tips, they find that interesting. And that's how we captivate the attention. So when we're looking at a couple things not to do, let's not be over promotional, like we talked about. Let's not hang our hat on, somebody else being the expert and just only relying on sharing other people's content. Okay. And that's one of the things that I see a lot of people do, is they're trying to check the box with creating content, or check the box with being active on LinkedIn. And, what's happening is they're just sharing content. They're not even adding any thoughts. And so they're kind of checking the box, but they're not moving the needle. Nobody's finding value in them. Okay. And so why would I, as a recruiter, take the time to create content? Well, it's pretty simple, because when you create content, it's going to increase the responses to your messages. It's going to help you, cut through the noise. It's going to differentiate you from the next, recruiter in your space. And when you do this consistently through time, you start to get inbound traffic. You get clients and candidates reaching out to you, asking for your help. And if you haven't experienced that, it's a game changer for your recruiting business. And yes, it happens, and it happens daily, for my clients to know how to do this effectively. Now, the good news and the bad news is really the same thing. And that is that creating content and building a brand and making yourself interesting enough to generate the inbound lead takes time. That's the good news and the bad news. And the reason why it's good news and bad news is because the good news is, or the bad news is it's going to take time. But the good news is bad is that most people aren't going to do it, because it's going to take time, and everybody's in instant gratification world. So if you're the one that's willing to, bite the bullet and take the time to invest into building your brand, then there's going to be a lot of, fruit for you, as you can continue to do that. Okay. So, when you're looking at your content strategy, what I recommend is 3 pillars: the leadership pillar, the service pillar, and the connection pillar. The leadership pillar would be creating content that showcases your understanding of your clients' and candidates' pains, problems, frustrations, challenges, mistakes that you see them making, and creating content that provides solutions or points to solutions that you have, to help them see that you are qualified to solve their recruiting or hiring challenge. Okay. And then also in the leadership kind of pillar, what we want to be doing is showcasing our success. Okay. So one of the things we all have to do as content creators is answer the question of, why should I listen to you, Donnie? And so for me, that's basically showcasing the track record of my, client success. So, when you're watching a training like this, you're not going, oh, is this theory? No, this is all 100% stuff that works. I've got 400 recruiters that have been through my program and successfully implemented. these types of practices to help them generate leads and grow their business and increase their revenue. So for me, it's my job to drive that narrative and showcase the success of my clients. So when you're watching something like this, you're not second guessing, what I'm saying, or if you're consuming my content somewhere else, you have a good understanding of like, this is why I should listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. So that's what you guys need to be doing too, is, really, driving the narrative around the success. So sharing client and candidate testimonials, sharing your open positions, really to establish your relevancy. Okay. That's the leadership pillar. The next pillar is the service pillar. This is where you share your tips, your tricks, your how-tos, you bust myths, how whys, really just adding a ton of value and goodwill to the marketplace. So your clients and candidates see you as more of a resource and not just another transactional recruiter. And the last pillar is the connection pillar, which is, well, who are you? What do you do outside of business? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? What are your beliefs? Now, I'm not telling you to post a picture of your food every time you go out and dine with your significant other, but finding strategic ways, on a monthly basis, for example, of just showcasing something that's going on in your life. If you look at my post on my LinkedIn channel from yesterday, it's actually it's a post of me going to a Tool concert with my son. But then I'm also talking about being spontaneous. So although I'm showing something personal, I'm also giving perspective and telling a story that can really connect me to my audience. Okay. And that's the main reason that we do the connection, is because there's a lot of noise on LinkedIn. There's tons of AI and tools that are coming out that are going to make content creation easier. And when I'm putting myself out there vulnerably, then people see me as being authentic. I'm real. You can't change the experiences in our life. We can all write fun articles and things like that, but our experiences is what, people are attracted to. And again, it's our job to showcase that, to make ourselves more interesting. Now, also from a tactical thing, almost every time I post something personal, it just gets way more views and impressions. And if you've been following me for a while, it's not a metric that I am obsessed with in any way, shape, or form. But if we're looking at best practices, we should be looking at ways to drive our reach and impressions. So when we post more of our thoughtful things, they don't go as far in terms of reach of impressions. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, but we're able to capture more audience because we built more connection with them, with our content. Okay. The last best practice I'm going to recommend when it comes to content is the easiest way, the most frictionless way to put yourself on a prospective client or candidate's radar is to engage with their content. When you think about it, if you are creating any content out there, how excited do you get when somebody likes or comments on your stuff? And I would guess that in most situations, your clients and candidates aren't going to have some mega following. Of course, there's going to be some anomalies out there, but so what does that mean? That if you're the one that goes and likes and comments, hey, you're going to be able to capture the attention. You might be the only comment or one of a select few comments on their post, and you leave the comment, they see your headline. They're like, oh, shoot, John, he exists for me. Man, this is a really thoughtful comment. And now you have awareness. So if you were to ever reach out to that individual, which you should after that, then, they're going to have a much more awareness that you exist and you exist for them. Okay. So before I close this thing down, I'm going to offer you guys to go ahead and go into the chat and ask me any questions. If you found value in this training, give it a like or a thumbs up. But ultimately, think and play the long game here with LinkedIn. The whole purpose of the platform should be to build relationships. Okay. And where it makes sense, having many of those relationships turn into, clients or candidates or customers for us that ultimately, benefit us in our business. LinkedIn is a social media platform geared for business. Okay. So for those of you that are listening with me live right now, I do have a special offer for you. I offer what's called a LinkedIn tune-up. Okay. And this LinkedIn tune-up, what way it works is you would sign up for the tune-up. You fill out a form and you're going to give me information about your target market, about, kind of some objectives, some of the challenges you've had with your LinkedIn efforts, the desired results that you want with your LinkedIn efforts. You can share the tools you're using right now. You can share your scripts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to review that form, review your LinkedIn profile, and then I'm going to send you a personalized 15-minute video on all the tweaks I would suggest for you to make. Now, normally I charge, hold your breath, a whopping $97 for you to get my expert advice. And again, I've helped several hundred recruiters do this. So $97 gets you this LinkedIn tune-up. But if you're listening to me live right now, you're getting something special. So what you're going to do is you're going to reach out to me here on LinkedIn. Let me know that you're interested in the tune-up, and we're going to do that tune-up for $50. I know, huge discount from $97, which is a no-brainer. It's even more of a no-brainer for $50 for me to be able to tune your LinkedIn up so you can start generating more conversations with clients and candidates and turn those conversations into placements and turn those placements into revenue. So if you are interested in signing up for that LinkedIn tune-up, literally no risk for $50. If all I did was tweaked your messaging that increased your response rates, you more than return that. If all we did was make some tweaks to your LinkedIn profile to make your profile more attractive to your target audience, it's more than worth that. So if you're interested in that, either drop a message or a comment on the training here, or send me a message on my personal profile or on this company page here, and we will get you a LinkedIn tune-up. Once you sign up for it, I typically deliver the tune-up within 7 days. So 7 days from now, you could have a completely fresh LinkedIn strategy that is dialed in to help you really, finish 2023 strong and hit the ground running in 2024. So thank you guys so much for being here with me on the training. Reach out if you're interested about the LinkedIn tune-up. This is Donnie Gupton. We'll see you soon. I'm actually going live here again in about 45 minutes on my personal profile, interviewing Jacob Crossley, one of my former clients. So we're going to be talking about white glove recruiting, and we're going to be talking about some of the success he had working in my program. So if you're feeling froggy and want some more live action of Donnie, I'll be over on my personal channel at 12 o'clock in about 35 minutes. So thank you guys, and reach out for that LinkedIn tune-up. We'll get you dialed in today. Talk to you soon.